Predictability, that's the real flex. If your income check surprises you from month to month, that's not entrepreneurship, man. That's stress. So the key is to get your business repeatable and predictable. And if you want that, you definitely want to tune in. Stress comes from uncertainty. It comes from not knowing one day from the next. See, momentum is what builds power. Momentum is everything. Picture a boulder. In the beginning, there's that big boulder that you're pushing up the hill, man. And some of us don't get there. Because building and carrying that, equating that to building a business or your body or relationship, it's tough. But if you keep pushing that boulder, step by step, day in, day out, you're going to hit your momentum. Because you're going to get to the peak, and now that boulder is going downhill. And boy, you just created a ball of energy that is just picking up gains and picking up beautiful people in your life, picking up money, just money's been thrown at you, and that boulder's just sucking it up. You're that boulder of momentum, man. But before you hit momentum, we have to learn the formula. And before we learn the formula, while we're in that formula of success, man, this, you've seen many ways, if you're in something, for your real estate sales, you know what you have to do. But you're living in a place where you're not doing it. And when you're not doing it, it creates stress. Tony Robbins, he has a really good line. Who knows even if it's his line, because we're all regurgitating things that we study. But I heard it from him, so I'm going to call it his line. He said something smooth. He said depression comes from the one fact. It's when the blueprint in our mind doesn't match the blueprint of our life. Let me expand. So the blueprint in our mind sees us, okay, Rick is supposed to look like this, have a relationship like this, have this much money, be liked by this many people. That's our blueprint. That's our fantasy. But in reality, Rick has none of those things. So that disconnect can have two things. You can go in a downward spiral. And that's where depression hits, anxiety, I'm not doing enough, I'm not enough. Or that same picture in your head, it can also be called visualization. That's how I interpret that quote. That's my interpretation of it. So the difference between what's in your mind and what's in reality, that can also go upwards because that is your fantasy. And you got to dream. Remember as a kid, I remember being in elementary school or even high school, and I'd be daydreaming. The math teacher would be talking about formulas and X equals this, and I'd be thinking about the girl that I like, or thinking about the sport I'm going to play and the moves I'm going to do, or I just been daydreaming. It's a great thing, y'all. Don't forget to dream. Because that blueprint in your mind, right now it's not your reality, but that's your visualization of what can be. It all starts right here. So dream it. Dream big. And then once you have a dream, gotta roll up the sleeves and we gotta get to work. Gotta get to work. The formulas that you're gonna hear from me, if you've been studying self-help like I have, the fundamental principles. Maybe you just need a different voice to hear it. So you have a dream and now you get to work. Because when you get to work, you might have stress, but it's a different kind of stress. It's the stress of growth and not the stress of failure. Big difference. Actual true burnout, we talk about success burnout. It really doesn't happen from effort. Yeah, man, you're running on a treadmill and you're running at full speed. You're going to burn out because you're tired. But then you recover and you're growing because you can run faster. You can do more cardio, whatever the point is. But that real stress, that comes from being uncertain and having unpredictability. That's the stress I don't want. Give me the stress from burnout because that's growth. But the stress from having an unpredictable life, not knowing how your bills are going to get paid, not knowing how you're going to get your next real estate deal, not having any systems in your business, man, that stuff is easy. Let me know in the comments. Let's build this community. If you guys want to know how to do a rock star real estate sales business, I got you. I got it. I got the PDFs. I got the systems. You want it? Let me know in the comments. And maybe we can do a Zoom one day and I'll walk you through it. Because I don't want you to have that stress, man. I had that stress in my life. Not knowing where the money's going to come from, not knowing where my next deal is going to come from. Man, it doesn't have to be that way. Because when you live like that, you start living in chaos. And if you're anything like me, I started thriving in chaos. I didn't know how to thrive in a normal environment because I was used to all kinds of crazy stuff. Running from security guards, cops, being in bad situations with fights and hanging out with gangsters and doing all this weird that nobody should be doing. Being in relationships that are like full of anxiety and stress and like that was normal to me. That was normal to me. I learned to thrive in chaos. If you know what I'm talking about, hit me up with a like. Don't do that. Don't put so much chaos in your life and then try to thrive. Just get the right methods and formulas. Get the chaos away from your life, and your life is so much easier. You got to do one thing. Take action. Bigger that action in the right way, the better your results. Action doesn't mean intense activity done till you're breathless. Action is defined. Real leaders, real warriors, real business success comes from action defined like this. Do consistent behaviors daily. Let's talk about cardio for a second. I'm not talking about a HIIT cardio. I'm not talking a 30-second sprint, 2-minute break, 30-second sprint. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that long, leisurely walk. 3 speed, 3 incline. You're walking for an hour. You're getting that fat zone. That's what you got to do every day. You got to do the consistent walk every day. If you do that, that's the principle of success. Repetition. Boringly consistent behavior. If you learn that, your life will not be stressful. It could be, I'm going to prospect 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Some of you, man, you guys worked a 9 to 5 and we would give that place 8 hours for a paycheck and an hour commute every which way. We would give that place 10 hours of our lives. I'm asking you, to give you 2 hours. You know what? Screw it. 1 hour of prospecting 5 days a week. Start with that. And then let's work it up for 2. If you can end up just prospecting 5 days a week, your life will change. Because as you perfect that, you're going to get business, and then you build other systems. Predictability is sexy. When you have a predictable life, you know how much money is coming in every month. Your bills are paid. Your relationships are good. Getting jacked. That was cringy. I do that to my sons and they're like, that's cringy. I grew up with Hulk Hogan, man. You know, that's what they did back in the day. If you make it predictable, your life is going to be smooth. Let me ask you a question. Does your deal flow, does your business feel chaotic? If it does, let me know in the comments and we'll help you out. See you on the next one, y'all.